If you're new to Ansible, then what is it that you should know before you get started? What should you learn? What should you learn about roles? Should you learn about playbooks? What is it that you should be focusing your time on when you come to approach Ansible for the very first time? Stay tuned and I will answer those questions for you. Hey, Mike here from learndevops.com.au, and in this video we're going to be talking about what newcomers should know when they're approaching Ansible for the first time. It's going to be a nice, short and sweet video, which is I think how most of my audience like it. And if not, then let me know in the comments if you want to know more about what I'm about to talk about. Okay, let's get straight into it. So the first thing that you should definitely know about is roles. So a lot of newcomers to Ansible will use some ad hoc commands and they'll just run a command against a server, and maybe they'll play around and they'll write a little Ansible playbook. But then what they'll do is they'll see that a playbook is doing all of the things for them, and they're like, "Woo, this is great!" And then they write these huge playbooks with lots of repetition in it, and then they copy paste chunks out into new playbooks and so on and so forth. So the first thing I would say that you should definitely be looking at is roles, Ansible roles. So roles are essentially for templating out configuration and creating repeatable logic that can just be repeated over and over and over and over again. You can just repeat it and repeat it and repeat it, but you're not repeating it by copy and pasting. You're essentially writing a piece of code once and then you're running it in multiple playbooks. So it's a sort of one-to-many relationship. So the playbooks import the role and then they run a copy of the role for you. So there's just one copy of the code that gets repeated lots and lots. That's going to allow you to isolate very specific little complex work tasks into a nice little role, which can be in its own repository. It can be version controlled, and I do recommend that you do that. And then you can pull that into multiple environments and playbooks, and it's all just centrally managed. So the first thing I'd recommend is you look at Ansible roles. The second thing I recommend that you look at is using playbooks to essentially represent a solution. So you have a solution. So the playbook should be called, for example, WordPress.yml. And then what that playbook does is it just implements and manages a WordPress installation. And it does that by consuming multiple roles for all the dependencies that WordPress needs. So what does WordPress need? It needs a database, MySQL. It needs something like Nginx. It needs a web server on the front end. You're going to need PHP, like PHP FPM. You're going to need a shared file system. If you've got multiple systems, you're going to need NFS, or maybe you're going to be using AWS's EFS. So you're going to write multiple roles, and then in your WordPress.yml file, you're then going to consume those roles in there so that when people come to look at your big list of all of these playbooks that you've got, they can look and they can go, well, that's called WordPress.yml, and this one's called Drupal.yml, and so on and so forth. And they know exactly what that playbook's going to do. And then if they want to know more, they look at the contents of the playbook, they see the roles that are being consumed, and then they go and check those roles out, and then they can see what those roles are doing. And it makes things very neat and tidy. So the second thing is make sure that your playbooks look after a specific solution. Number 3 is your inventories and group variables. So in Ansible, you have an inventory, and it can be a dynamic inventory such as the ec2.py file that'll go and find EC2 instances and things for you and resources for you dynamically. And there's also static inventories where you write out a file and you put like actual DNS entries in there, or even just straight raw IP addresses of the servers that you want Ansible to talk to. Well, what a lot of people don't realize, newcomers when they come to Ansible, is that there's this concept called group variables. And so number 3 is understanding how inventories and group variables work. In short, when you write out an inventory file, let's just ignore dynamic for now. You've got a static one and you've got 2 groups in it. You've got web servers and you've got databases. Okay, they're groups. Okay, so you might have 4 web servers and you might have 2 database servers in there. So you've got an inventory that effectively has 6 servers in it. So the first group, web servers, if you create group_vars as a directory at that top level, /web servers, and then you put YML files in there, they're the group vars. So all of those files are essentially included against that specific group every time you target that group inside of a playbook. Now that's really powerful because that means that you can put servers into different groups and they'll get given different values. So if we link that back to our first point, number 1, which was roles. Remember, we talked about roles. Well, those roles can take configuration. They can take input in the form of variables. Well, wouldn't it be great is if you had web servers called, say, web servers dev and web servers prod? Wouldn't it be awesome if they fed different values to the same one role so that it got different configuration? Well, it's possible with group vars. What can actually happen is the group can get its variables from the group vars directory based on whether it's prod or dev. And so the role will receive unique individual inputs for that specific group. That's what group vars is about. So I recommend that point number 3 is that you investigate group vars and you work out how to group your things inside of your inventory so that you're pulling in dynamically the variables specific to that group. It's a very, very powerful way of making your roles even more powerful again, and again with your playbooks as well, making them even more powerful. And then number 4 is Vault, Ansible Vault. Now, this is a big one because I've gone into clients in the past and I've seen environments that already exist in the past that just basically have lots of plain text passwords and information inside of playbooks. And I just look at it and I'm like, okay, like that's crazy. You just use Ansible Vault. Ansible Vault will encrypt entire files for you. It can encrypt individual little variable values for you. You can take passwords and you can put them straight in your Ansible. Just Ansible Vault them, encrypt them, and you can put them straight into your plain text playbook if you want to, because that specific value will be encrypted with either a passphrase or a passcode or something like a PGP key or some other secret mechanism. There's just no reason not to protect your secrets using Ansible Vault. So number 4 is go and check Ansible Vault straight away so that if you need to have secrets stored somewhere inside of your Ansible and you want to push it to a repository that's being used or consumed by other people, then the secrets are safe, they are encrypted, and only a select few people can see the value. And Ansible Vault will actually automatically decrypt those values for you. So there's actually no reason to not use it. It's very, very simple and it's completely transparent. So number 4, Vault, Ansible Vault. Please check out Ansible Vault. Have I said Ansible Vault enough? Probably not. Ansible Vault your secrets. And point number 5 is modules. So when you are writing a playbook and you want to use let's say you want to use the file module and you want Ansible to connect to a remote server and you want it to put a file somewhere on the file system on the remote server, you might use the file module. That is literally what that is. It is a module. And the reason it's called that is because all it's doing is calling a Python module in the background. Now, point number 5, modules, is a bit of an advanced point. Modules are a bit of an advanced topic, definitely. So newcomers should just be aware of what the architecture looks like, and that is that modules are just a Python script in the background. But the killer feature of Ansible is that you can write your own modules. It's actually really, really simple to do, and they don't even need to be written in Python. They can be written in anything that Ansible can execute. They can be written in Go, and you can give it a static binary. They can be written in Java. They can be written in nearly anything. So modules will allow you to create your own versions of that file. You can create your own module that you can call inside of your playbooks. And indeed, I would actually recommend that instead of trying to create really complex roles or really complex playbooks and or really complex logic, you know what I mean? Like you're trying to go, oh, well, if this values this, then I want to do this, and then I want to loop over that, but I only want to take out certain elements. That can make your YAML really, really complex and really, really messy, which makes it very difficult to maintain in the future. If you do write logic like that, it's very likely you're going to come back to it further down the line and kind of go, I don't understand what I've actually done here. So what I would recommend you do is you learn how to write some basic modules, because you can take that complex logic and you can just wrap it in a Python script, put it in the modules directory at the root, and then you can just call it inside of your playbooks and you're done. That's it. You've taken all of that logic. You've got the full power of Python and even third-party libraries. You can make requests to APIs. You can do anything you want. And then inside your YAML, you just have a few lines of YAML where you're just calling your module and passing in some parameters. Simple, it's done, and it's super, super powerful and super effective. Hopefully that's been helpful. That's 5 little points there for newcomers to Ansible. So go and check those out, and I believe that they will make your Ansible code 10 times better straight off the bat. They'll give you a big step up over your peers that don't know these little secrets here, these little Ansible secrets. And of course, if you like this video, then hit the subscribe button and hit the like button as well to let me know that you're enjoying this kind of content. And if you're not using Ansible, then let me know down in the comments below. Maybe you're using something even more powerful. Maybe you're using some secret ninja DevOps tool that I'm not aware about. If so, then let me know in the comments below. And if you want to have a chat about any of this, then head on over to chat.learndevops.com.au, where we have a Discord server, and it has professionals from 15, 20 years experience right through to beginners with no experience whatsoever, people who are trying to get into the industry and learn everything they can. Everyone is welcome and all questions are valid questions. So head on over to chat.learndevops.com.au and I will connect with you soon. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video because you hit that subscribe button, right? You press the button, right? Very nice.